Welcome to Behind the Veil. Now, here is your transformational coach, Tammy Hawks.
So you were married 25 years. So what, 20 to 45?
Yeah. Well, this would be 26 years. I was 19 when I got married.
19. Wow.
Yeah.
And you said there was several affairs.
There were, yeah, there was an emotional affair, about 20 years ago, a little over that. And then there was an emotional affair that turned physical, several years after that. And then, several years ago, there was another physical affair that lasted several years.
And then how many kids do you have?
6.
Six kids.
Yeah.
Oh,
6 with my
Julie.
husband. We actually he has another son, but we have 6 between the two of us.
Okay. So I like to start off with first telling you my intention. My intention is to give you lead you to the most largest transformation I possibly can in the shortest amount of time. And I would love to know if you could get one thing, if you could figure out one thing on this call, what would that be?
Ooh, to feel good about the path that we're going on now. Like if I could wrap my head around the fact that it's okay.
That will be quite easy.
Sure.
Says I. Not the one in the shit right now.
Right.
So also I want you to understand as I do a lot of work with your subconscious mind. So just know there will be times, more than likely, where your conscious mind is going to come in and go, oh, this is kind of weird. What's this all about? Like kind of question things. And know that is just very normal and kind of tag it as like, okay, this is just my mind coming in, trying to keep me safe and sort of do you have privacy?
Yes. I was just making sure the door was shut and locked. We're good.
Okay, good. Because some of these processes, pulling you through a more, subconscious state, you kind of, I'm not going to say like trance because it's not quite a trance. You're very here and now. But it will feel like you'll be like, okay, what are we doing now? So things like, I use color a lot because color and emotions are the first 2 things that we learn when we come into this world. And so when I ask you to connect to emotions or connect to color, just know we're dealing with your subconscious in those ways. Okay. So Julie, you spent 25 years with your ex-husband. You are now separated with your 6 kids. And in those 25 years, there were several affairs, correct? And with those affairs, there's an emotion that comes up for you, right? What's the emotion that comes up for you when I bring up even the subject of the affairs? In fact, close your eyes. And I want you to connect to the emotion. You don't even have to name it. Okay. I want you to connect to it. I want you to feel it. Now, I want you to go ahead. There is a place in your body where you store this emotion. First impression, point to it. Either hand, we can't see. Okay, there you go. Yes. Now, first impression, what color is it?
Red.
Yeah. Okay. Now, I want you to notice that an image is popping up on your subconscious mind, is popping up on the screen of your mind right now that's directly connected to that color. It's like a projection. See, is like a projector coming out from that spot. And without saying anything, I want you to just feel into this image. Is it night or day?
Night.
Do you have little girl hands or big girl hands? First impression.
Big girl.
Okay. I want you to see yourself feeding a string through the eye of a needle, right? I want you to take yourself through that image. And I want you to allow yourself to feel it fully. And I want you to go ahead and double the emotion, double the emotion, double the emotion, double the emotion. Allow it to come through. And I want you to see it disintegrating as you move through it. I want you to see it disintegrating with ease and grace and flow. That's right. First impression, did the color change?
Feels more blue.
Feels blue. And does the blue, what is the emotion that you would tie to that blue?
Uh, Almost relief, I guess is that emotion.
Relief. Okay. Perfect. Now I want you to take that blue and I want you to expand it out, creating like a circle around your body. Just see it as like this glowing circle all around your body. This is your safety color. And as long as you have this big blue bubble, you have peace, you have love, you're safe, and you're held. Now I'm going to ask you to take me back. If you can connect to that old emotion, the emotion that comes up when we talk about betrayal, I want you to take me back to your first experience with betrayal. So be the first impression that pops up on the mind. How old are you?
7, 6 or
7.
7.
Are you alone or are you with someone else?
I'm with someone.
Connect to the emotion you feel. What's the emotion?
It's kind of mixed. Sad, hurt, confused. There's a few.
Sad, hurt, confused. Do you want to talk about what's happening in this moment?
I was being led to some sexual experiences by an older child.
And what was the emotion that pulled up besides sad, hurt, confused? Give me a few more.
The emotion I feel now or what I felt then?
What you felt then. You were that 7-year-old little girl.
Actually, then it was almost excitement for an unknown. It was I felt included and worthy. It was interesting. But that,
Okay,
yeah.
included.
Mhm.
Anything else?
I think I said confused. That was definitely
Yep.
confused. Um,
Okay, perfect. So this is what I'm going to have you do. I'm going to have you go ahead in your adult self, who you are right now. I'm going to go ahead and have you go back in time. So pop up above your head in your mind's eye. And I'm going to have you travel about 30 feet above your head. That's right. And now I want you to go all the way back to the past, all the way back to your 7-year-old self, all the way back to this moment in time. I want you to go back, back, back. I want you to see as you're floating up 30 feet above your head, I want you to look down and see yourself in all the moments in time as you're moving back, 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 all the way to your 7-year-old self. That's right. And I want you to just go ahead and look down and see your 7-year-old self in that room, in that place, wherever you are. And I want you to go ahead and be in the room. That's right. Be in that room with your 7-year-old self. And I want you to walk over to your 7-year-old self. And I want you to pick her up. Now, what does she need from you right now in this moment?
She needs to know she doesn't. She needs to know she doesn't have to do that to be worthy.
All right. I want you to scoop her up in your arms. I want you to hold her. And I want you to tell her everything that you feel led to tell her. I want you to love on her. I want you to tell her how perfect she is, how wonderful she is, how adored she is, how there's nothing more that she needs to do or be, that she is perfect exactly how she is. And I want you to see the look on her face change and soften. That's right. And anything else she's desiring from you right there in that moment, I want you to give it to her. That's right. And I want you to go ahead and seal that up by giving her this purple, blue, beautiful healing ball of energy all around her. And I want you to tell her that she's safe, that she's loved, and there's nothing else she needs to do. And when you feel like she hears you and sees you, and you see that big smile come on her face, I want you to tell her goodbye. I want you to tell her that you're always here for her, that you'll always be here for her, that you've come all the way back from the future just for her, and that you'll come back anytime she needs you. And when you see that big smile on her face and you feel that peace in your body, I want you to go ahead and pop up out of that room, go 30 feet above your head, and I want you to go back in time, all the way back to age 4. And I want you to hover above your 4-year-old self, look down, see where you're at. And I want you to go ahead and be in that room. Notice what's going on. Is there anyone there with you? Are you by yourself? How are you feeling? What are you doing? And I want you to go ahead and scoop up your 4-year-old self, noticing what she's experiencing right there in that moment. And I want you to be with her. I want you to hug her, kiss her, hold her, tell her how wonderful she is, how divine she is. Whatever you feel like she needs to hear from you, I want you to let her know that you're always here for her, that you've come all the way back from the future to let her know that everything's going to be okay and she's safe. I want you to give her that big blue healing bubble all around her, letting her know that as long as she has this big blue bubble, she's safe, she's held, she's loved. And when you see that big smile come over her face and you just feel that her presence has been uplifted by you, I want you to kiss her goodbye, tell her you'll always be here for her. And I want you to go ahead and pop up out of that room, 30 feet above that room. And I want you to make your way back to the present. And as you're making your way back to the present, I want you to look down and notice that all the old patterns are falling away, shifting, changing. All the old systems are disintegrating, and new systems, new wiring is now replacing the old. And as you come all the way back to the present, you see that you shifted all these new pathways by simply going back to the past and rewriting it. I want you to come back 10 years before now, 5 years before now, all the way back to the present. And I want you to look down, notice you sitting in that chair right here, right now. And I want you to make your way down. That's right. Coming down, feet first, coming back into the body, coming back into this space, coming back into this moment. That's right. With so much ease, grace, and flow, I want you to see coming down through your head, shoulders, chest, hips, all the way down to your feet. Take a deep breath in, exhale out, bat your eyes open when you feel ready. How do you feel?
I didn't expect to go there at all, but now I feel calm. Like, I just calm.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay. So now let's get into where you're at now, currently in your life.
Okay.
What would you like to change?
Well, I've been doing some therapy, so I have some more verbiage that I would have had 6 months ago, but I would like to change the way I allow people to treat me in my world.
How do you feel like people treat you?
Uh,
Specifically, the ways you do not like.
They assume, so I'm a people pleaser and I am treated as someone who could just always take it. You can razzle me anytime and I can take it because I allow it.
Where'd you learn that from?
I think it's my family of origin. I was in a very, very large family and I was always the peacekeeper, the peacemaker, whatever they called me. I was always the go with the flow, happy one, didn't ever make waves. I was backed up with siblings who were pretty intense personalities. And I was just the calm, easy one.
Yeah, because the reason why we adapt our way of being, our personality, is simply because it's the way we survived our family of origin, right?
Mm-hmm.
So knowing that, Is that something you choose to keep, or is that something you choose to change?
I I want it to change. I want it to be different.
So what would it
I,
take for you to change it?
as I'm learning, I think it's just recognizing that I have the right to have boundaries and to not just accept that the way people treat me is okay, depending on what that treatment is.
Yeah. The first thing you got to do is identify specifically the things that you're allowing that you don't want to allow. So name some of
Yeah.
those off to me.
Oh, wow. I mean, specifically, I allow people to mock me without calling them on it, I guess. I've allowed, in broad terms, verbal abuse without speaking up for myself. I've, in some ways, allowed like my husband's betrayals by not enforcing any kind of boundary to that behavior, just moving past it without any consequences. I've gotten better, so I'm trying to think like where I'm still. I mean, it's the people pleasing where I have that fear. So I'm trying to think the behaviors. It's like I don't want to let people down. I don't want to hurt people. So
Where do you see it coming in? Which relationships does it come in the strongest?
with a couple of my siblings and my spouse,
And have you noticed the temperament of those people? Do they have similar personalities?
in some way, yeah.
As a high supporter that you are, people pleaser, high supporters, what naturally happens is you attract controllers,
Hmm.
right? So the supporters are kind of down here. They like to put themselves probably not even last on their own list. They're probably not even on the list.
Yeah.
And they put everyone else up here and them down here, right? So
Yeah.
if you want to get rid of the people pleasing, you got to raise yourself up.
Yeah.
How do you do that? It's by first of all affirming yourself on a daily basis. Do you do this?
No, I have a hard time. Even in the exercise where it was telling the younger girl like that you're worthy and that I love her, that kind of thing. That's very challenging for me.
Okay, so this is what I suggest you do. You got to get in the mirror. You got to look deep in your own eyes. You got to see that little girl within you. That practice we just did, you have no idea how radically powerful it is.
Hmm.
You do know because you felt the emotion that came up. So
Yeah.
I need you to go into the mirror first thing in the morning every day. And I need you to look so deeply in your own eyes. I need you to see that little girl within you. And within that little girl, I need you to see all the human beings that she brought forward. Meaning, if you want your kids to see their own worthiness, then they're going to need you to model it for them. So I need you to look into your own eyes, and I need you to tell yourself how worthy you are, how lovable you are, how perfect you are, all those things.
Hmm.
It may be very difficult initially, but as you practice day in and day out, you're going to teach your subconscious how to value itself because there is no human being that has been born to this planet that is not worthy, right?
Hmm.
Have you ever looked at any of your kids when they're first born and they don't do nothing, right? They just sit there, cry, eat. And do we say to them, you are so worthless. All you do is sit there and cry and poop and eat. You're so worthless. No, we look at them and we're like, oh, I mean, how could you resist the energy, the electricity of a little being firstborn, right? You just can't. So I
Right.
want you to see yourself that way as that little perfect beautiful baby. And I want you to even go back to the day you were born and hold you and say, oh, this worthy little blessed being, just like you did to your kids.
Mhm.
Didn't you do that for all six of them?
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah. Well, why not you?
a good question. Like I think it goes back to yeah, it's still those dynamics in the family that over
Yeah.
time,
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. If I had 12 weeks to work with you, we'd go through all that. But since we have this moment only, my greatest give that I can leave to you is some homework that will change this dynamic within you, because this is what I know for sure. If you don't heal these ways of being, you might move on and find someone else, and you'll attract that same dynamic because those wounds aren't healed. And so any therapy is great. It's wonderful. But what I've noticed with my clients is if they are not doing the work in between our sessions, it just doesn't have the same power. It doesn't have the same transformational power. So if you could do that, make eye contact with yourself every day and tell yourself how worthy you are. You know what I did at the beginning of my journey is I took lipstick or a dry erase and I wrote it all over my mirror. And I would speak it over myself, and I did everything to get it into my subconscious. Another thing I have my clients do is I have them get index cards and write, I am worthy, I am lovable, I am perfect exactly how I am. And they would put those everywhere, in their wallet, by the side of their bed, everywhere they go regularly, car, everything. And you want to speak those over yourself all the time until you change that belief, because there's only two ways that the subconscious changes its belief system, and that's with repetition or a very traumatic event, such as like a near-death experience or something traumatic. So we don't want that route necessarily. So
Right.
repetition is the only way to change our beliefs if we don't want the severe one. So affirmations is key and huge for you, right? And then another thing is when you believe something, directly when you believe something, action will be taken. So create boundaries with these siblings, with these people that you feel cross your boundaries and you don't say anything. Stop doing that. Create the boundaries. So let's create some boundaries now that you can have with your siblings. So when they mock you, what can you do?
Well, this is something I just recently started. I just spoke up. Like I just said, hey, that's not true, you know, and it was a joke. And in the past, it's always been like I could be the butt of the joke because I could take it. And we were at an event sort of recently, and someone said something, and I said, you know what? No, that's not true. I'm a highly capable person. Like I'm a freaking like COO. I'm not a not capable individual. And the joke in my family is that I like kind of a hot mess kind of thing. And someone made a joke and I was like, no, that's not true. Like I'm an incredibly capable person. So I just spoke against it and kind of went
Good,
away,
good job. One thing you do that is really similar to me is you mask your pain with a smile.
Oh, yes.
So one thing that you can do is when that pain rises up in you, don't mask it, but connect to it. Connect to it, because when you feel your emotions, what happens with negative emotions that get stored in the body? So what we just did, the practice we did at the beginning, was releasing negative toxins from your body, negative emotion that you had stored up for a long, long time. And like I said, if I'm working with someone over the course of time, we keep pulling that out and keep pulling that out. In fact, it's something you could do on your own if you kind of remember the process. But we store all these negative emotions in our body, and they're stored in different places. Yours just happened to be here, which is very normal. I see with most of my clients. As you release that, right? So connecting to it, when that pain comes up, instead of putting a smile on your face, I want you to connect to, ooh, this kind of hurts. And then I want you to identify where am I feeling this in my body? Where is it stemming from? And then I want you to put your hand on it like we did. I want you to connect to the color. And then one thing you could do is start pulling that color out, pulling that color out, pulling that color out. And then you can spin it. And you can spin it till you see it change colors, or it'll lighten something. But if it doesn't change colors at all after you've pulled it all out, then all that's saying is that you didn't shift the emotion. But everything is stored. All the cells in your body have like stamps on them. They stamp all the emotion, and you have at any point in time the ability to pull out negative emotions. So instead of smiling, or if you catch yourself smiling and you're like, okay, what emotion am I covering up? And you're connecting to that, going to the body, seeing where it is and pulling, right? So that's a good thing that you could do on a regular basis,
So
right?
it's like recognizing the incongruence of a smile when you don't feel like smiling, and using that to kind of indicate when I'm masking. That's what
Yep.
it sounds like.
Yeah. Yeah, because the people pleaser, you've learned that identity from your early childhood, which means that your coping mechanism is, oh, I can't let them, I'm just going to smile. So it's your
Hmm.
coping mechanism. Oh, as long as I got this smile, I'm good. But really, it's inauthentic to you.
Hmm.
And whenever you're inauthentic to yourself, it takes a literal hit on the body because your body says, that's not how we feel. You
Hmm.
know, whenever it's down to your thoughts and your emotions are what's creating your life experience. So if you're just simply putting a smiley face over the gas gauge in your car because it says empty, you're like, "Burp, no, I can't see it."
It's not empty now.
And in reality, your car's fixing to break down on the side of the road and you're just like, toot, toot, toot. No, you want to
Mhm.
connect. You want to be so connected to your pain because it doesn't have to stay there. Right. And the
Mhm.
reason why you're in this place in life feeling all this shame is because you have this buildup of negative emotion, right? You're 45,
Mhm.
45 years of built up negative emotion. And we're not taught how to move that out of our system. It's so easy to do now that we have like modern science telling us, right?
Mhm.
It's so easy to do, but no one taught you how to do that. So here you are with all this negative emotion. And now you have one skill that you get to teach your kids. Oh my gosh, it will be such a blessing if you taught your kids this one skill that they have the ability to to change their emotional state at any given time,
Mhm.
right? They don't have the buildup of negative energy that we have, the negative toxic emotions in our body, but this is such a great tool that you can teach them. Okay, now
Mhm.
as far as the shame, what have you not forgiven yourself for?
Well, this is a big one, but um, because I'm a mom and I haven't forgiven myself for staying with my husband as long as I did because it's harmful to my kids and to me. So that's a huge moment right now in this moment. That's my biggest.
This is some other homework I have for you. Write a list of all the things that you are holding against yourself from birth till now, because I'm sure the list is pretty darn long, right?
Right? Yeah.
You learn that pretty young. And then you get to let it go. You get to let it go. And if you struggle with letting it go, I want you to think about those 6 beautiful faces you created. And I want you to say, I would never, ever, ever want my kids to hold on to shame. So because I don't want them to hold on to shame, I'm not holding on to shame. And then each and every day, I want you to make a absolute decision. I forgive everything, everything. And I want you to see it. Sometimes I have people go through a cord cutting where you literally just cut all the cords to all the negative ties to the past. Just like click, 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 click. Just see them all along your back. And you're just like, whoosh, they're gone. I am
Hmm.
breaking up with all the negative ties to the past. Nothing behind me is affecting me because I broke up with it. I've divorced
Hmm.
it. Divorce that. And then I want you to see. So just imagine if you didn't bring any of the negative emotions from the past up here until the present moment, then what would you have?
I don't even know. I mean,
A
really.
clean slate, like
Yeah. It's,
pure potential, like sky's the limit. I mean, just think when I think about that, I just feel so light in my body.
yeah. I was gonna say
Like
free. You're like, yeah, light and
free.
free.
So that's your homework every day is to forgive. No more drinking that poison. Forgiveness is one of the biggest keys to the healing journey. And it may feel hard because you don't understand it. Forgiveness is not giving someone a pass to hurt you or anything like that. It's simply letting go of that which no longer serves.
Hmm.
Because when you get to the place, and you may not be there now in your journey, but when you get to the place where you thank your husband and say, you were my greatest teacher. You were my greatest teacher. And for that, I thank you. Right. My greatest abuser was my dad. And I thank him every day for the work I get to do now, because if I didn't have such a fucked up childhood, I could never do what I do now. And so I say this because I live it. When you learn to thank the trauma, because that trauma made you great, because you chose it. I hate to say that. I almost never say that to anyone in the beginning of their journey, but you've been on your path of healing. So I'm going to say to you, we choose our trauma because we didn't come here to do this. We came here to grow, become more. And that only happens through trials and tribulations.
I used to joke because my husband's a challenging person to live with. And I have a sister who is also a challenging personality to live with. And I joked for the last 2 decades that living with her prepped me to live with him. And I never really put that together, that's like toxic, but was my preparation period. And I used to see it like it's this good thing. Like I was prepared to live with this challenging person because of my childhood. And it never really got to the point where I realized I shouldn't have to just be the dumping ground for these people who, have challenging personalities. So I'm working through that piece of it to kind of take it full circle. Yeah, I did have to deal with that in childhood and in my marriage, and I don't need to anymore. So
yeah, I'm choosing something different.
Yeah, I'm not fully there, but I'm starting to put it together. Like what I used to say as a joke was truthful, but not in a good way so much.
What will it take to help you feel okay moving forward?
It's hard to answer. I'm not sure. My decision right now is that we're separating, and I still feel the guilt of like breaking up my family, like for my kids, even though my kids are 100% on board that this is better. I still have that like guilt from.
Where does that come from?
I think it's like cultural family, like my family of origin, like the culture we were in, that you don't get divorced, you endure and you push through and you make it work. And it's
Is that
pushing back against
religious?
that. In part, yeah. Also, my parents were very much that way. My parents struggled. They were not abusive in any way, but they struggled in their marriage. And I saw one of my parents really just put up with a very hard relationship for, gosh, over a decade of being like, my mom was really cold to my father, and he just pushed through, and he reiterated that, like, I love her, I'm going to push through and stay with her. And I was grateful that he did that, because I didn't want my parents to separate. So I have that in my mind. And my dad's, they're both good people, they're both wonderful people, but I internalized that, like, oh well, he did it, so I should too. And I'm working through being okay with the fact that I don't have to.
So yeah, that is not your belief though. That was an imprinted belief. Okay, so let's just talk epigenetics for a second. Do you know anything about epigenetics?
Not much, no.
Okay. So epigenetics is basically 95% of our beliefs are like stamped onto our DNA. Short story.
Mm-hmm.
Most of our beliefs they don't start with us. We just adapt them, right? And they move down, down, down. So in the past, marriage was meant to be a gift to women because we were not seen as equals, right? So in the past, it was for the woman's value to be married, because if she wasn't, it could mean death for her, right? No way to support herself. Fast forward to now, that is not the case, is it?
Mm-hmm.
You know that. No,
Yeah.
we have the ability. So I ask you, have you seen the families where the kids said, my parents finally divorced? That they were relieved that their parents divorced because it was so toxic and things got better after. Did you see those families?
Growing up, I can't say I saw that. No, but I do now. I've seen it now.
Right. So everything is just an experience, right? And there's no way that any of us are going through life without trauma. All of us are.
Mhm.
So it's just about what we do with what we have. So I know we have this thing in our biology that says, I want to protect my kids as much as possible. But the truth is, we can't. And we don't want to. They came here for their own life purpose, right?
Mhm.
And as well as we can make their life comfortable, and we do that. We do the best we can for our kids, but it cannot come as a sacrifice to ourselves. It
Mhm.
cannot, because first of all, they're going to make their own minis. You got 6 kids, they're going to have 6 completely different perspectives. And there might
Mhm.
be some that don't like the divorce, and maybe some that are like, finally, like, but that's not up to you to decide. It's up to them. They've
Mhm.
have free will, right? So for that reason alone, you should let yourself off the hook. But then there's this whole other part that's like, when your kids, because my kids have 2 versions of me, the before I healed and the after I healed.
Mhm.
So they forgive me for the trauma that I caused them when I didn't know any better. They
Mhm.
extended that grace to me because I extended it to my parents. My parents did the best that they could, just like I did the best I could, right? And we get to let go of the negative past because, first of all, guilt is the most negative emotion. If I had
Mhm.
it, I would pop up on the screen my emotional scale, which shows at the top all the higher emotions, the higher frequencies, and at the bottom, the lowest. And at the very bottom is powerlessness, guilt, shame, powerlessness. They're at the very bottom. So if you want to come into these higher levels of being, which is joy, love, excitement, peace, all those higher levels, you have to break up with the bottom, which is guilt and shame. You have to say that these are no longer emotions that I'm going to deal with or allow to be part of my experience because they don't serve me. And that's just the truth. They don't. So when you
Mhm.
find yourself connecting and feeling guilt, I want you to just see yourself letting go of it because you did the best you could with what you had, with the tools that you were given. And now you have a whole new tool belt full of beautiful tools that you could use, and you're growing, but you have to let go of what you didn't know at that time and say, maybe you can go back to her 20 years ago, 10 years ago, and maybe just be with her and feel her pain and let her mourn,
Mhm.
and then let her let go of the guilt and shame because it does not serve you.
I had this, it's funny you say it because I had, or not funny, haha, but interesting. I had this literal conversation with myself in the car yesterday saying the same thing. Like, I cannot hold myself, my 22-year-old self, to the same standards I have now. My vision was different. My perspective was different. My experiences were different then than they are now. And I have to figure out how I can like forgive her for not, choosing to leave at that point or at 25 or 32 or whatever, any of those points along the way when it was um, something that I wish I would have done and I didn't. I have to like put myself back there
Yeah.
and accept that it was different. It was a different me, it was a different
Yep.
version of me.
It was a different you. It absolutely
Mhm.
was. Tell me, as we're ending this, any big takeaways for you?
Well, the visualization was actually really good. I haven't done that where you're visualizing with the colors and like disintegrating was that stood out to me, like disintegrating what was with an emotion, like disintegrating the emotion of what was. I haven't done that, but that was powerful. So
And how do you feel now versus how you felt at the beginning?
honestly, I really didn't have any expectations or I didn't know what this call was going to be like, so I really didn't have a pre or an expectation of any kind. So I feel calm though. I feel like I maybe empowered would be a good word because I
Okay.
feel like I have some additional power. Yeah.
I love that. Absolutely love that. Okay. How do you feel about your path moving forward?
Um, I I feel like there's when I think of how I feel my physical body, I've been working to feel like when I make a decision, how does my body feel about it, and try to recognize, um, use that to help recognize. if I feel like it's the right thing versus not. And I feel like peaceful about going forward in this, in separating and potentially like permanently, because right now it's not a permanent separation and I
Oh,
still
it's not.
feel no. And that is honestly goes back to my, I don't want to hurt somebody. I don't want to, it's still me on the fence of healing, I think, to be honest, that I haven't gotten to the point where I can say, this is actually what I want and just be firm about it. And I'm still working on that.
So you haven't decided yet?
I do think I've decided. I haven't verbalized my decision to anyone.
So by when will you verbalize this decision?
Well, I have a child getting married and a child having a baby, and I'm trying to like, how does this all fit in? And so I'm trying to be me and be true to me and balance that with my desire to help my kids not suffer as much too. I'm still working through how I can be true to me, but also support them in. I've got some kids who are struggling in some really severe ways, and I'm trying to balance that while being true to myself. And so that's still a struggle daily. So I don't have a deadline that I've put in place.
I highly suggest, for the sake of the transformation you desire, I highly suggest that you give yourself one.
I thought that's where you were going with this. Yeah.
I mean, with so much love, I get it. There will never not be, people suffering around us. And I totally get that. But I'm just saying, for the sake of you not even putting yourself on the list for many, many years, you may think it's going to be this big, huge thing, but trust and believe that everyone feels everything. So whether you verbalize it or not, it's already felt.
Yes, yes, I would say
So by you taking that stand for you, you're not taking from anyone else. You're standing for you.
Yeah, that's still uncomfortable for me, if I'm really honest.
Yeah.
I'm still working on how I can be okay with standing for myself.
Growth is not comfortable.
It's not.
Transformation is not comfortable. I know that. So I honor you in your journey wherever you're at. And please let me know if there's any way that I could serve you. And I've loved connecting with you.
Yeah, this is, like I said, I really had no expectations, or I've never, to be honest, listened to the podcast. I don't know. So I came in blind, and
I'm
but
so glad.
It was really good.
I'm so glad. I wanted the purity of all that. So yes.
Yeah. Yeah, it was good though. I feel like I have to go back to work. So I'm like, oh, this is good. I can go back and feel a little more light and refreshed, I guess.
Ooh, she feels lighter. That's just about always my feedback, lighter. Okay, my darling, well, you have a fantastic day. Please let me know if there's anything I could do for you, and I will send you this when it's ready.
Okay.
If you would like it.
Yeah, I'm curious.
Might be very helpful for you to watch back as well.
Yeah, I'm sure I'll critique myself really well because I'm good at that too. So
please don't do that.
I'll have to step back from that. But thank you. It was really good. So thank you.
Good. Have a wonderful day. Bye, Miss Julie.
Take care. Bye.